Yo, what is up everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video here on the channel. My name is Oliver, and these pictures that you see right now are actually not taken on a big camera, but on a phone. Wait a minute. Okay guys, so in this video I'm gonna share how I take the photos with my phone, which settings I use, which apps I use, and stuff like that. And I'm also gonna share with you the apps that I use when editing the pictures on my phone, the techniques that I use when using the app that I edit with, and some other tips and tricks for that app. And I'm also going to share a cool phone photography technique that you probably didn't know was possible with your phone. So with that being said, let's get into the explanation on how I take the photos with my phone. But before I explain how I take the photos with my phone, there's probably one question going through your mind, and that is, why would I even bother learning mobile photography when I have a DSLR that can shoot 11 photos per second in 24 megapixels, can shoot pictures with a high ISO, has an interchangeable lens system and all that good stuff. So why would I use my phone when I got a DSLR? Well, that's actually because of all those things. Let me explain. My phone, the Samsung Galaxy S7Edge, has only one lens, doesn't shoot 11 photos in 24 megapixels, doesn't shoot great low light, of course doesn't have an interchangeable lens system, and is overall not really great for photography. So why do I use it then? Well, because of all those limitations. Using your phone as a camera sometimes is one, really light, sometimes you just don't want to bring your camera. It's awesome for capturing some really raw and real moments, because sometimes a big camera intimidates people, and for that reason they don't show their true emotion. But also those limitations really forces you to creatively think about every step there is to photography. For instance, this lens makes you think about where you're standing and where your subject is. Because you can't optically zoom in with this lens, you have to physically walk around and get the right composition. You really have to work around all the limitations that this lens has. Also, this makes you think about the lighting more, because you can't just bump up the ISO to something crazy like 10,000 or something, because the sensor on the phone is really bad and there will be a lot of noise and the picture just won't look good. So now I'm gonna go over the settings that I use when taking photos with my phone. So first, double tap my home button to open up the camera real quick. So this automatically opens up the camera when I double tap my home button. I find this feature very helpful. Let me quickly get the shot and don't miss the moment. So let's first swipe to the left, go to Pro mode. And here you can manually set all your settings for when taking a photo. So you have your ISO, it goes up to ISO 800. You can change your shutter speed. You can set your picture profile. I'm just keeping it at standard. And of course you can change the white balance and the focus, so manual focusing. For the ISO and the shutter speed, that of course varies on your shot. Try to keep your ISO as low as possible to get a cleaner image, and of course the shutter speed depends on how much motion blur you want in your shot and if you're filming in a very dark or bright environment. Okay guys, so we're now in a cross section. This is kind of a dangerous place, but I'm here gonna show you how to take a long exposure photo with your phone. The long exposure effect will also increase the shakiness of your photos, so you really need a steady photo. That's why we got the tripod with us. The audio is probably awful, but you know. So we just opened up the camera app, swipe to the left into Pro mode, and here we can change our shutter speed. Okay guys, we switched it to a 2-second shutter speed. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay guys, so I'm now going to talk about one of the most important things when taking photos with your phone, and that is the editing of the photos. I edit my photos in an app called Snapseed, and I will now show you how I edit them, which tools I use, and which other tips and tricks I have for you when editing the photos on my phone. This app is for Android and iPhone, and speaking about iPhone, if you want to take long exposures with your iPhone, there's a link in the description to an app that allows you to take long exposure photos with your iPhone. But with that being said, let's now get into the editing of the photos with the app called Snapseed. Okay guys, so we're now going to open up the app called Snapseed. I know there are some other apps and maybe you prefer another app to edit your photos on your phone, but I personally like Snapseed a lot because it gives you a lot of options, and I just know the program the best, and it's also made by Google, so it's always up to date and it supports RAW pictures. And yes, on Android it's possible to take RAW pictures with your phone. I don't know if this is possible for iPhone, but I certainly think there's a way to capture RAW photos with your iPhone. So if there's a way to capture RAW images on your iPhone, I will put it in the description. Now let's get into the editing of our photos with Snapseed. I'm gonna open the picture of my friend Adriaan. We took a long exposure photo on a road with cars coming by. It looked really cool. And also a big thanks to Adriaan for helping me make this video. The link to his Instagram is in the description. So the first thing that happened when you open up a raw picture in Snapseed is you go to the develop tab, and this tool will allow you to edit all the individual raw elements of your photo, such as the exposures, highlights, shadows, contrast, structure, saturation, temperature, and tint. So let's first of all tweak the photo a little bit. I'm gonna go with a little bit less highlights to preserve a little bit more detail in those light streaks. Shadows, let's crank those down a bit. And if you click the button in the right top corner, you can see the before and the after. Saturation, let's crank that up a little bit. And the temperature, let's make this picture a little bit colder. And the tint, I want to add a little bit of magenta in the tint. Before, after. So once you're done with your raw editing, click on the button. Now let's click on the middle button called Tools, and here you can find all sorts of tools for all sorts of purposes. I almost always use the same tools, so I use Tune Image, the curves I always use, details I always use, the glamour glow I always use, and the grainy film I always use. And sometimes I'll use the double exposure feature, which I will explain in a bit. So let's go to Tune Image and go to Ambience and crank that down a little bit. I don't know exactly what this tool does, but I really like it, so click on OK. And now let's go to the details, go to structure, crank that all the way down. Now you're maybe thinking, well, we just lost a lot of detail and this doesn't really look good. But first click on OK, go to the top, click on this button, then go to View Edits, then click on Details or the tool that you just used. Then click on this paintbrush button, and here you can draw a mask on where you want the effect to appear. So for instance, if we want the -100 structure effect on the street, I can paint on the street, click on the eyeball to see what you're painting. Now let's maybe change the color with curves, so pull down the reds a little bit, add some blues in the shadows, so bump this up a little bit. So I think this looks nice. Now let's click on OK. Now let's add some glow to the picture, click on glow and get the glow to around maybe 100. And now we're gonna do the same masking effect like last time with the structure effect. Go to this button again, View Edit, let's go to the masking option, and here we can mask around these streaks, maybe here and maybe those streaks. And here's the before and here's the after. It's starting to look really nice. Now let's click on OK again. Now the final tool that I'm gonna add is grainy film. So we're just using this tool for the sort of filters that it gives. Decrease the grain to 0, or maybe add grain if you like that in your picture, but for this picture it doesn't work. I do like this one, so A2, and here you can adjust how much of the filter is visible. So 100 is all the way. Let's go with 25. Here's the before, here's the after. Okay, so for the final step, we're now gonna use the tool called double exposure. And for this tool to work the best, you need a photo of a light leak or some kind. So let's go with this light leak, this cool color film burn effect. Go back into our app, click on the plus button, go to the picture you just downloaded, pinch to make it larger. So click on this middle button and go to the blending mode, add, change the opacity a little bit. Okay guys, so the photo is done. I hope this video inspired you to go out there, take some cool photos with your phone. Even if you don't have a camera yet, go out there, take photos with your phone, experiment, and just start. I think that's the most important thing, to just start. And also guys, if you have a cool video idea that you want to see on this channel, then please drop it in the comments down below. I read all the comments and I try to reply to all the comments. So if you have a cool video idea, drop it in the comments down below. And also guys, thanks for 1200 subscribers. Now we're almost at 1300 subscribers. I personally think that the channel is actually growing pretty fast, and I try to upload as frequently as possible and the best possible content. So yeah, that was actually all I have to say. So again guys, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye.